I'm 16 and terrified at home. My stepdad yells, threatens my belongings, and my mom won't protect me. My grandparents don't understand. And I feel like I'm reliving the trauma my biological father caused me. I can't trust a father figure. Some important backstory. I'm 16 male, and I was raised by a single mom, 49. For almost all of my life, it was just me and her against the world. My biological father wasn't around when I was little. He actually left before I was even born. For years, I didn't even know what it was like to have a dad, and honestly, I didn't miss it. My mom filled every role she could. She worked hard, she was patient, she was kind, and she made me feel like I mattered. Then when I was 8, my biological father came back into the picture for a short time, and looking back, I wish he never had. For about a year, he was in my life, but instead of being a positive influence, he brought pain and damage. I won't go into every detail because I'm still not ready to write all of it down, but he did things that broke my trust in ways I'm still dealing with to this day. He wasn't a safe person, he wasn't a loving person, and eventually, I realized that I didn't want anything to do with him. I've been no contact with him for 6 years now, and I don't regret that decision. People sometimes ask me if I feel like I missed out by not having a father figure, but the truth is, I didn't. My grandfather stepped up and filled that role better than anyone could have. He taught me things, listened to me, guided me, and gave me the kind of support my biological dad never could. If anything, my grandpa showed me what a real man looks like. I never felt like I was missing a dad when I had him. Then came 2019 and everything changed. My mom met my stepdad that July, and by January 2020, we had moved in with him and his son, 21M. On paper, it probably sounded like a good situation, a blended family, a fresh start, new opportunities. But in reality, for me, it felt like being uprooted and thrown into a life that didn't fit. We moved 2.5 hours away from the town I grew up in, which meant leaving behind my grandparents, my friends, my school, and basically my whole world. Suddenly, I was in a place where I didn't know anyone, and the only people I saw on a regular basis were my mom, my stepdad, and his son. And then, just a couple of months later, the world shut down because of COVID. That timing could not have been worse for me. I was just about to start adjusting, maybe making friends, maybe finding my footing, and then, bam, isolation. No school, no activities, no social life. My new normal became being stuck in a house where I didn't feel comfortable. I lost those key years of building friendships in this new town, and it's only now in high school, which I attend about an hour away, that I've started to make actual friends. But even that has its own challenges because they all live far away, so I don't get to see them outside of school. Then there's my stepdad himself. This is the part I've struggled with the most, and it's also the part one feels guilty about because I don't want to hurt my mom. The truth is, I've never liked him. Not once. That doesn't mean I've been openly rude or hostile. I've always been polite because I see how happy he makes my mom, and I never want to take that away from her. After everything she's sacrificed for me, I want her to have someone who loves her. So I've played nice. But if I'm being honest, I've never felt safe or comfortable around him. The thing is, he doesn't treat me badly in an obvious way. It's not like he goes out of his way to insult me or anything like that. But I've noticed something. He doesn't know how to talk to me without raising his voice. He argues with his son all the time, and when they argue, it gets heated fast. Lots of yelling, swearing, frustration. I've never seen them have a calm conversation when they disagree. And, unfortunately, he uses that same tone with me. He talks to me like I'm just another person to argue with, not like a kid he's trying to build a relationship with. A lot of the conflict between me and my stepdad has come down to communication, or more specifically, his absolute refusal to communicate in a healthy way. I've tried before to ask him, as calmly and respectfully as possible, if he could speak to me in a less aggressive tone. I've explained that yelling or snapping makes it hard for me to respond, that I shut down when he does it. But he won't listen. He acts like I'm being dramatic or overly sensitive, and then doubles down on his behavior. He's the kind of person who seems to believe that being loud makes him in charge, when in reality, it just makes me tune him out completely. And it's not just with me. I've never once heard him apologize to anyone, not his son, not my mom, not his own parents, and definitely not me. Even when he's clearly in the wrong, he'll either shift the blame onto someone else, act like it didn't happen, or wait until enough time has passed that people just drop it. It's like he doesn't know what accountability even is. Overall, I don't think he's a good person. That sounds harsh, and maybe it is, but it's how I feel. He's self-centered, only willing to help if it's easy for him or benefits him somehow. The moment it requires effort, patience, or putting someone else's needs first, he's out. He gets angry at the smallest things like traffic or if someone disagrees with him, and rather than actually solving problems, he just waits for everyone else to forget. That's basically his strategy for life. Ignore it until it disappears. My mom has tried over the years to encourage him to be better, to change, to soften around the edges. And every now and then, he'll make a half-hearted attempt. He'll be nicer, more helpful, more considerate, but it never lasts longer than a week or two, and only ever because my mom has specifically asked him to. Once the effort fades, he goes right back to being the same person. Honestly, it feels like he doesn't think he has to change because my mom puts up with it. And that brings me to what happened earlier today. My grandparents came over to watch the AFL Grand Final with us. They don't visit often, so it was a big deal to me. I really value those moments with them, especially since I don't get to see them much anymore after moving so far away. The game was on, the atmosphere was relaxed, and we were all sitting together eating sausage rolls my mom had made. My grandma commented on how delicious they were, and I agreed enthusiastically because, honestly, my mom is an amazing cook. She pours love into everything she makes, and her food easily beats anything you could buy pre-made. That's when my mom casually mentioned, almost with a little laugh, how my stepdad would rather eat frozen, ultra-processed food than her cooking. It was just a passing comment, but it struck a nerve with me. I couldn't help myself. I chimed in with something like, yeah, it's ridiculous, right? Who would choose bland frozen meals over food like this? I meant it as a lighthearted joke because in my mind it was ridiculous, and I thought everyone was on the same page. I've joked about his eating habits before, and usually people laugh because it's so obviously silly. This time was no different. My grandparents laughed, my mom laughed, and even my stepdad laughed along. At the time, I genuinely thought everything was fine. If I had sensed he was upset, I would have apologized immediately. I wasn't trying to take a shot at him personally. I was pointing out something that we all knew about him, something that even my mom had already brought up in the conversation. It didn't feel like I was exposing some hidden flaw. It felt like we were all just having a laugh. But apparently I was wrong. Apparently, he took offense to what I said, even though he didn't show it in the moment. He smiled, he laughed with us, but later on, he made it clear that he felt insulted. And now I'm stuck in this awkward position where I don't know if I should have just kept my mouth shut or if he's overreacting. Because from my perspective, it was a harmless comment in a lighthearted context, not some deep, cutting insult meant to embarrass him. A bit before the halfway point of the game, I decided to go find one of our cats. My grandparents hadn't met her yet. She's only about 5 months old now, and when they last came over, she was just a tiny bundle of fur only a few weeks old. I thought it would be nice to show her off, especially since my grandparents love animals. Now, this cat isn't exactly the most social when it comes to strangers. She likes me, she likes my mom, but she's not the type to immediately cuddle into someone new. So when I picked her up and brought her into the living room, she immediately started squirming in my arms, trying to get down. Normally, if I'm sitting on the couch or close to the ground, I just let her hop down. But this time I was standing and I didn't want her to hurt herself jumping from too high. So I did what seemed like the responsible thing. I started crouching down slowly so she could reach the floor safely. That's when my stepdad decided to snap at me. In front of everyone. Just put the cat down, he barked. His tone was sharp and harsh, like I'd done something awful. Then, without giving me a chance to explain, he added, if you don't, she's never going to let you pick her up again. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. Like I was some clueless idiot who didn't know how to handle my own pet. Like I was hurting her on purpose. His voice had that edge to it, the same one he uses whenever he's yelling at my stepbrother. That makes my whole body tense up instantly. I snapped back. I'll admit it, I was rude. I'd had enough. If you didn't get mad at me for breathing, I said, you'd have the sense to realize I was in the process of putting her down. I just didn't want her to get hurt. The words were barely out of my mouth before he was on his feet. Literally stood up like he was ready for a fight. And then came the yelling. He started shouting that I was performing for my grandparents, like I was putting on some act to make him look bad. He accused me of always talking back to him, of never respecting him. The irony is, I had hardly spoken to him all day, literally once this morning when he told me to get ready before we left, and then at the start of the game when I made that cooking joke. That was it. But to hear him tell it, I was apparently making his life a living hell by daring to answer him instead of staying silent. He didn't stop there either. As he stormed toward the door, he muttered under his breath about me being disrespectful, about how I was impossible to deal with. Then he left the house completely, like he couldn't stand to be under the same roof as me. The room went quiet. My grandma looked appalled, like she couldn't believe what had just happened. My mom, clearly embarrassed, tried to smooth things over by saying, "It's like children arguing." I couldn't help myself. I shot back, "But only one of us is a child." It just slipped out. But honestly, it's how I feel. I'm 16. I am technically a child. He's a grown man, nearly 50 years old. Yet the way he loses his temper, the way he lashes out, the way he refuses to even attempt calm communication, it's childish. Completely and utterly childish. My grandma wasn't having it though. She turned to me and told me I needed to learn when to shut my mouth. That I was being disrespectful. My mom agreed with her and added that I should be the bigger person. The thing is, I've been being the bigger person for 5 years now. 5 years of swallowing my words. 5 years of telling myself, just let it go, just don't make him mad. 5 years of trying to walk on eggshells in my own house. It's exhausting. He's often rude and aggressive toward me, especially when my mom isn't around. He yells at me for the smallest things, a tone in my voice, a door closing too loudly, a sigh after a long day. He gets offended when the wind slams the car door a bit too hard, like it's my fault for existing in a universe where the weather happens. He also has this weird tendency to assume I'm mad at him. If he notices even the smallest thing, me avoiding eye contact because I'm exhausted, me being quiet because I'm anxious, he jumps straight to the conclusion that I'm angry with him. And the whole time I say nothing. I keep my head down. I don't want to cause conflict. I know how he gets when he's mad. I've seen him shout, slam doors, threaten to break or throw out mine and my stepbrother's stuff. Today, after everything that happened with the cat and the yelling, I finally snapped. Not at him, but at my mom. I told her everything. I told her that he makes me feel as bad about myself as my biological father did. That all he's doing is proving that I can't put my trust in a father figure. That men who say they're going to be family always end up making me feel small, unwanted, unsafe. I told her that I don't feel secure in my own home. That every time he yells or gets in my face, a little part of me is afraid for my safety and for my things. I told her flat out that I wouldn't respect someone who had no respect for me, and that he didn't deserve my respect anyway. Saying it out loud felt like opening a window after years of suffocating. For a second, there was silence. My mom didn't defend him. She didn't rush to tell me I was wrong. She just went quiet. Then my grandma scolded me, told me I needed to learn to hold my tongue, told me I shouldn't speak disrespectfully about an adult, especially not my stepdad. As if I hadn't just described 5 years of being belittled, yelled at, and treated like an unwanted guest in my own house. My grandpa said nothing the whole time. Honestly, respect to him for avoiding the drama. He just stared at the TV, like if he stayed really still, he could pretend none of this was happening. After a few more minutes of sitting on the couch with everyone's eyes either on me or deliberately not on me, I couldn't take it anymore. I went back to my room, shut the door, and I've been here for most of the afternoon. Now my stepdad's back. He came home a few hours ago. I can hear him moving around in the living room. The sound of his voice, even when it's calm, makes my stomach twist. I can't go out there to try to talk to my mom or grandparents without him being there. I don't want to risk another confrontation. I feel trapped. Trapped in my room. Trapped in a house that doesn't feel like mine. Trapped between wanting to protect my mom's happiness and wanting to protect my own sanity. I've thought about reaching out to my friends for advice, but I feel like they'll be biased. Most of them have never even met my stepdad. The ones who have only exchanged a quick hello with him. They see me at school, where I'm funny and laid back, not at home where I'm tense and cautious. How do you even begin to explain something like this to someone who hasn't lived it? I can't ask my therapist either. It's a public holiday and the office is closed. So here I am, sitting in my room, typing this out on my phone, turning to strangers on the internet. Because at least strangers might actually listen instead of telling me to be the bigger person one more time.